There's a stereotype that doctors are terrible with their money, and honestly, there is some truth to that. After years of training, we finally start earning our first paychecks in residency, but most of us haven't really been taught what to do with that money. And with long hours and stress, it's super easy just to spend without having a plan. And that's exactly why I've built systems for myself so that every single time that paycheck hits my bank account, I have a routine in place. It's one that helps me stay on top of my finances, hit my savings goals, and make sure that I don't fall for any financial traps. In this video, I'll walk you through what I do so that you can start thinking about your own routine no matter where you're starting from. For those of you who are new here, my name is Sean Anderson and I'm a second-year anesthesiology resident based in San Diego, California. Now, just as a disclaimer, because I think transparency is really important, I've been fortunate enough to go through medical school without incurring any debt, and I've even spent thousands and thousands of hours on building this YouTube channel where I've been able to earn a little bit of an income over the last few years. It's important to remember that many doctors at this point in their training are not in this position. That being said, I think that the information in this video can still apply to you wherever you are in your financial journey. All right, let's get started. If you've been following the channel for a while, then you probably know that I'm quite transparent with what it's like to be a doctor, including my finances. I have several videos on this channel that have broken down what I've earned in residency so far. In fact, I think that in previous generations before us, talking about your finances was considered taboo, and people didn't really disclose their incomes, or you didn't talk to your coworkers about how much you were making. But I think that being transparent about money allows you to engage with other people and learn from them. For example, I talk to a lot of my co-residents about our financial situations, student loans, all that kind of stuff, and it allows us to have conversations about what we can do to best set ourselves up financially in the future. Talking about it also kind of forces you to take an honest look at your own finances. If you don't talk about it regularly, it's kind of easy to ignore. So one of the fundamentals when it comes to finances is knowing how much is coming in and how much is going out. Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors of all time, says that the first rule to investing is making sure that you never lose money, and the second rule is to not forget the first rule. And that's just basics. If you spend less than you earn, then you'll always increase your net worth over time. Conversely, if you spend more than you earn, then you'll definitely decrease your net worth over time. I always keep track of my finances regularly, and especially since I moved to San Diego, where it is quite expensive to live, I definitely keep track of my finances and know exactly how much is coming in every single month and how much I'm spending on things like rent, gas and electric, water. So before you set up any sort of system, you need to just make sure you know how much money's coming in and how much money's going out. Before you can chart a course for where you want to go, you need to know where you are, right? So like I said earlier, that includes things like rent, utilities, and your credit card bills. Now, speaking of credit, I want to take a moment to mention the sponsor of this week's video, Chime. One of my priorities since starting residency is to set myself up financially with good habits. One of the biggest things that I wish I knew earlier was how to build credit the right way, which is why I'm so excited to partner with Chime for this video. Chime is a banking app that lets you feel good about your money without having to stress about all the monthly fees that we've gotten used to with traditional financial institutions. One of the features that I've been using most is their secure Chime Visa credit card. It's a secured card that helps you build credit without taking on unnecessary risk. One of the problems for people who first open up a credit account is that they exceed their spending limits and then they can't pay it back on time. But with the Chime card, you get rid of all of that risk. You decide how much to move into your secured account, and then that becomes your spending limit. Then when you turn on the safer credit building feature, the payments become automated every single month. This way you never miss a payment. For me, this is a low stress and easy way to build credit while spending money on everyday items. So whether you're in medical school, starting residency, or just looking for a way to rebuild your financial foundations, I highly recommend checking out Chime. They're an awesome step in the right direction, and I highly recommend you don't wait until later to take control of your finances. So make sure to check out Chime by clicking the link in the description or by scanning the QR code here on the screen. And thank you so much again to Chime for sponsoring this video. Now let's talk about saving and investing. Now, saving and investing is not something I do actively because I've actually set up automations for it. There's a line from the book Atomic Habits that I really like, and it's that you don't rise to the level of your goals, but you fall to the level of your systems. So instead of relying on myself to move money into my savings account or investment accounts every single time I get a paycheck, I just do it automatically, so I don't even have to think about it. And this way, whenever I get a paycheck, I know that I'm paying myself first, and as long as I don't move any of this money back into my checking account, then my net worth is always going up. And this also means that any money left over in my checking account can go towards my needs and wants without impacting my long-term goals. Knowing that my net worth is growing gives me so much peace of mind. Now at this point, you're probably wondering, how much should I be putting into my savings and investments with every single paycheck? My biggest tip when you're just starting out is to focus on building the habit rather than perseverating on how much you're actually putting into those accounts. So for example, if you're a newly graduated medical student making their first couple paychecks as a resident and you've got, car payments, student loans, rent, utilities, a bunch of monthly bills, and you don't have a bunch left over at the end of the day, even if you can take like $100 to put into savings and $50 to put into investing with every single paycheck, that is still better than nothing. And over time, even that small amount really adds up. And then as your income increases, especially once you become an attending, then you already have those good habits in place. And you can literally just increase the amount that you save and invest. A lot of doctors feel that they should put this off until they start earning their attending salary, but you should do it as early as even medical school. So let's say you're taking out loans. If you set up those automations with even maybe $50 per month, then you've built those habits over 4 years before you start earning an actual paycheck. Now, if you're wondering what percentage should go towards savings and investments, then that's totally up to you. But my personal philosophy and advice is that you should not be investing money that you need, and you also shouldn't start investing until you have a comfortable savings account. Or at least you should not be investing a significant percentage of your income if you're still working on building up those savings. So when I started residency last year, my biggest priority was making sure that I topped off my emergency savings account and also my moving account, because I knew I was gonna be moving to San Diego and I was gonna need to cover a bunch of expenses when I moved, such as my rent, security deposit, moving costs, all that kind of stuff. So that was my priority, and a lot of my automations were going towards savings. Once I hit those savings goals and I felt really comfortable with what I had in my emergency fund especially, I then switched up how much I was moving to savings and investing, and I now put more of my automations towards investing because I don't have to pay myself as much anymore. So again, this is more situation dependent, but number one thing is make sure your bills are paid, your savings are topped off, and then focus on investments. Do not invest money that you need. Now, it doesn't matter what you use for a savings account as long as it's a high yield savings account. So I would make sure that you're going for at least a 4% interest rate. And then for investments, you can use whatever brokerage you're comfortable with, but please don't let your savings sit in a savings account that does not earn any interest. It needs to be a high yield savings account. Now, once my money is moved into savings and investments, the rest of the money left over is for paying my bills. But again, like I said earlier, I have an idea of how much I'm gonna need for my bills, so I'm not pulling too much money out for my savings and investments. Most of the time, I end up with more money left over once I pay my bills, and that's how it should be, because you shouldn't end up net negative after all of this, because that doesn't make any sense. You shouldn't be saving and investing money that you need to spend. Now, I've already talked about some of my bills, like my rent, utilities, internet, all that kind of stuff. And living in San Diego, it is quite expensive. In fact, I've actually talked about those costs in another video on my channel. Make sure to check that out. But even these costs are automated for me. So every single month when rent is due, it's automatically taken out of my bank account and sent to my landlord. And my electric and gas bill, my water bill, and my credit card bill all automatically get paid every single month. Now, if you're not pulling out more money than you need into your savings and investments, then this should all get covered without you overdrawing on your checking account. If you are overdrawing because you don't have enough money left over, then you need to decrease your savings and investments or decrease your spending, but that's something you have to look at yourself. But it's overall better to have more money left over in your account every single month, because then you can go in, see what's left over, and redistribute that into your savings and investments. And that's actually exactly what I do. At the end of every single month, after every bill is paid, I look at how much money I have left in my checking account, and I'll take some of that, transfer into savings and pay myself a little bit, and then take the rest of that and put it into more investments. Or you know what? Maybe you don't take that leftover money and save and invest it. Maybe you use that money and treat yourself a little bit. It's important to remember that money is just a tool. Even though we're all trying to set ourselves up for good financial futures, it's important to not get so caught up in saving and investing that you never enjoy yourself. Once your fundamentals are covered, it's okay to spend some money guilt-free. For example, as you guys know, I'm living in a totally new city and I want to enjoy it as much as I can. So I've been doing things like trying new food places, coffee spots. I just spent a few $100s on surfboards so that we can learn how to surf. I'm spending money on experiences because to me, that's what's important. But again, I don't feel bad spending that money because I know that I'm consistently putting money into my savings, my investments, and I'm paying off my bills every single month. So I can spend that leftover money and enjoy myself a bit. Residency is too hard and life is too short not to. What is the point of doing all this work for this money if you're not gonna spend some on yourself? Spend the money, treat yourself, enjoy your life. Don't get so neurotic about the finances that you forget this. So at the end of the day, my paycheck routine comes down to a few simple principles. Be transparent about your money, know what's coming in and out, meet yourself where you're at because you don't need to be perfect or hyper optimized to build your long-term wealth. Automate your expenses, savings, and investments so you don't have to rely on willpower, and then enjoy and spend the rest of it. Now, I know to some of you guys, this might have been a very basic overview, but the basics are important. There are obviously levels to this, but I think that when you're first starting off on your financial journeys, it's better to not overthink it and to just really focus on these basics. But if you guys want deeper breakdowns about exactly what savings accounts I use, what brokerages I use, what I put my investments into, then make sure to let me know in the comment section below. If you found this video helpful, make sure to drop a like and subscribe, and also let me know what's your paycheck routine. Huge shout out again to Chime for sponsoring this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.